Hello and welcome to a special episode spotlighting the business enterprises of tomorrow 2025. A grand summit brought to you by Dun & Bradstreet India and 63 SATS Cybertech and proudly presented by Jakarta. Centered around the theme Building Mighty Enterprises, Navigating the Next Frontiers of Growth, the summit brought together thought leaders, innovators and policymakers to chart the evolving journey of India's MSMEs. As these enterprises increasingly adopt technology and sustainable practices, collaboration among stakeholders is now more essential than ever. Not just for growth, but for building a resilient and globally competitive economy. The event kicked off with a powerful keynote address by Dr. Arun Singh, Global Chief Economist at Dun & Bradstreet. Let's have a look.
I think today's day we've deliberately chosen to meet and deliberate that what we need to do collectively to ensure that how we support MSME and how in turn get support from MSME, because we all talking about 2047. If 2047 has to happen, if you look at some of the research done by Dun & Bradstreet, they talk about incremental GDP, around 100 GDP produced between now and 2047, out of 100 rupees generated by India as a whole, 75% of that has to come from all of you guys. That's quite good task. Otherwise, 30 trillion economy, what we are targeting, that will remain just a dream. So we need to basically really gear up. For that, we have certain things, certain element basically I just talk about. And let's see how collectively we can do to ensure that we meet those 2047 targets.
Up next, we bring you a panel discussion on unleashing MSME potential through market access and financial opportunities. Let's take a look.
There are always people wanting to say we want to source from India, but we want good quality, good price, etc., all of that. But this is the time for India. And who fuels, if you look at the Indian economy, right? We all talk about MSME, even when we're talking about ESG in the morning. For us to be, a net zero by 2070, we need the large as well as the small companies to make sure that we control our emissions properly.
Imagine I met the person running it is Ruchi. I met Ruchi that evening, that night we signed the term sheet. Tomorrow morning we had the funds. So it was that quick, and speed is what, again, same with Credible. Speed is what is critical. We have about 350 vendors that we work with at a time. Getting documents signed from all 350 of them. Credible took the lead. They got it signed. And within, I think, 7 to 8 days, we got about 65-70 crores to small vendors who do about 2 crores. So 2 months of funding to each of them. In 7 to 8, 10 days is what they could manage on their own initiative.
Now, MSMEs have gone to the extent of reporting on the MSME Samadhan portal. And out of this 250,000 applications involving 50,000 crores, 30% have not even been examined. So instead of that, I'm not saying do not use this recourse, use another, national infrastructure institution, which we are there. It's very simple to use. And the principle is, again, that if you are a lender to a corporate, then you have access to the credit history of the corporate. So that means if you supply on credit to a company, if you submit that information to our company, Nationally Governed Services, then Nationally Governed Services would make available the credit history of that corporate to you.
Let me first address the issue of finance. I'm not sure on the domestic financing, but when I'm looking into export financing, it is not matching the requirement. If you look into some of the data in 2022, the net outstanding for the export was around 2,27,000 crore. In March 2024, it has come down to 2,12,000 crore. That means this figure has dropped by 5%. Export in rupee in the same period has gone up around 15%. Technically, export is under the priority sector lending, but the data shows in the last 2 years, there is a drop around 40% because there is no sub-target for export within the 40% norm. That's why we are pitching it that at least 2.5% of the priority sector lending should go to export. It is contributing to 20% of the GDP.
Time is of the essence today. And, today as we are all obviously competing with each other as well, but we're also competing for a market, the international market. companies like ours are able to provide access to capital without collateral in a very, very fast way. And we are able to do that at the back of technology. Because of the government's initiative, there's a lot of GST data available, account aggregators are there, everyone is today aware of Bureau. So there's a lot of data which is already available in the market, and we are able to leverage that and give you a yes or no in a matter of 48 hours. And if it makes sense for you, then you are able to attack the opportunity in the market and expand.
Moving on, we have a keynote address by Daniel Keshet, Chief Alliance Officer at 63 SATS Cybertech, on future-proofing MSMEs, AI and advanced cybersecurity for resilient growth. Let's take a look.
Although most of cloud providers provide security to their cloud, it might give you the impression that you are also secured. This is wrong. They secure their infrastructure. You're hosted there, that's fine. But they are not aware, for obvious reason, of what's happening inside the storage between companies. And the same way that you're hosting your data on a cloud doesn't mean that a bad actor who is also using the same cloud to infiltrate and steal your data, or worse than that, your client's data.
We now have a panel discussion on future-proofing MSMEs, leveraging technology to power efficiency and growth.
On one side we have a lot of these clients, customers who are their priorities keeps changing. On the other side, you have various other technologies which are there, and when you have technologies, you have various risks associated with this, essentially on the cyber side of it. And in the middle of that, businesses have to ensure that they are safe, secured, and they continue to grow and continue to be resilient. The focus essentially on MSMEs is that how do they go about in terms of embracing the digital tools which are available in the market.
That's what cloud solutions do best. So if your customer data is on a CRM tool, and a good quality CRM tool like Freshdesk, Zoho, Salesforce, then even if somebody gets access to it, they will have a backup that they will be able to restore and give it to you. Similarly, for financial data, if you have it on Tally Prime, if you have it on Zoho Books, if you have it on Microsoft Dynamics, it's automatically backed up, it's safe. Somebody might get access to it, but you will not lose it. So going to high quality solution providers is very, very important.
When you decide to deploy a tool, you also have to identify who are the people who are going to use that tool. So if you have your, say, employees in tier 3 or in places where even internet accessibility is a problem, then you have to figure out, is this tool I'm deploying able to cater to that audience? If it is in a, say, remote village in the south, does it have only the English language, or does it have a vernacular structure also to support people who are not that maybe comfortable using a tool in English? So that becomes an important factor when you're deploying technology, because you have to identify who's going to use that technology.
Now cloud application, like we say, we are using cloud to the extent it is possible. As Salesforce is on cloud. Other things are, other tools are there. And with all those risk factors, things like that, we have created our own protections. So depends on what kind of business you are in. Our 40 years of experience as SME now, we started as macro. Today we are almost a mid-size, and maybe we'll cross over that also. Has happened because of a focused approach to use the best which is available.
I feel in terms of high tech, both in manufacturing and in general business, we need to have a cluster-based approach, both from the government side and from the larger private player side. Like companies like us, we are doing at some scale with 200 players. We build the technology, we own the data, we own the privacy of the data, and we ensure that the MSMEs get more comfortable hosting their data on cloud, using cloud, or using these technologies. So I think a cluster-based approach is what's needed in India as well. There are certain things happening, but I think that the pace is what needs to be expedited.
Moving on, we now have a keynote address on MSME digital lending by Nilesh Dwivedi, General Manager, Delhi, State Bank of India. Let's take a look.
Resilience, that is what I could say. And why this is the right time to talk about MSME, the digital lending, or rethinking about its future? Because India stands at the cusp and the crossroads of, I would say, economic crossroads of a 5 trillion aspiration, and also the energy of a youth and enterprising population. And it is this transformative idea that basically doesn't make these small and mid-sized people, these communities as only a participants. They become the key pivotal riders also for inclusive growth.
Up next, we have a keynote session titled When Instinct Meets Insights, Building Smaller Businesses That Scale, by Prashant Muthu, Managing Director and CEO of Jokata.
So while we should continue to run businesses with instinct, we should also back it with data where the real growth will come in today's ecosystem. Growth isn't about just moving fast, it's about moving fast with clarity, which is why at Jokata we build MSME Sathi, which is a consent-led platform for you to not just inform basis your data, but to empower you with your data. We start by holding up a mirror, which is essentially a small business reflection report. So if you will, kind of like your credit report or your DNB report. But it helps you reflect on your data, pose and ask difficult questions with your data. You can interact with a chatbot like you do with ChatGPT. And it will help you kind of spot red flags, compliance, liquidity indicators, looking both inward and outward into your ecosystem, so which means through your supply chain. Monitoring and recognizing these little signals could really help you quickly course correct or mitigate emerging risks in your business or larger landscape.
Moving on, we have a fireside chat, building business resilience in the age of cyber uncertainty.
Start thinking big, start thinking digital, start thinking technology, start thinking compliances, start thinking cybersecurity. Start thinking some of these as your DNA, everyday DNA. It is not something new that you're doing. It is something that you need to imbibe. Regulatory issues sometimes have been a little bit slower than anticipated, more targeted towards the large enterprises. So the large enterprises, if you see, are following regulations very diligently. Take banking industry, for example. If RBI or SEBI or anybody tells them this is to be done, mandated, by default they'll do it. Whereas the culture in MSMEs has not yet picked up because it has not been thwarted on them or pushed very hardly on them. And I was talking to somebody, I said, time has come where you will soon see the regulatory bodies. I'm sure Madam Mercy is listening to this, that there should be some new easy regulatory reforms that should be instilled into MSMEs also as a culture. If that is installed from now or instigated now, I think the culture to become bigger becomes much easier.
Up next, we have a keynote address by Mr. Avinash Gupta, Managing Director and CEO, India, Dun & Bradstreet.
The European manufacturers can't compete at the price it can be done here. So there is a real opportunity for MSMEs, which is the point I'm making, to see what is happening in the world with help and try to replicate that here. So I genuinely believe that, honestly, it's India's moment and we need to kind of grab it with both arms and more to make it happen. It's not going to be easy, but I have seen Jupiter now for 10 years. It was a company with, less than maybe 150, 200 crores of turnover. And now it's close to a 4,000 crore turnover company. So, in the definition which Mercy mentioned, Jupiter would have been very much in, a small business. And now it's really 4,000 crore company in less than a decade. And there are many examples of that. So I think we are sitting at that, that cusp. There will be lots of winners, and I hope there are many, many more. But I genuinely believe it's an opportunity, and that's what I say. So, and then a lot of people say that, how do I do that? How do I get there? So obviously, you can't do that without help, and I think there is a lot of help available. So there are people like us, for example. There are many more people. All the things which the government is doing, all the support which government gives. So I think, challenges which MSMEs face, in getting credibility, in getting known, in finding finance, in finding new markets. I think Prashant at Jakarta talked about talent. So I think those are all nice problems, but there is help for all of that. So, DNB itself for so many centuries, for so many decades, we have products which give you credibility, which give you recognition. You get this DUNS number, you come onto the data cloud, people can check on you, people can figure out how credible you are and do business with you.
Moving on, we have a keynote address by Srimati Mercy Ipal, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Government of India.
If you take the universe of MSME, we are more than 6.5 crore members, okay? Now, and it's growing. And we are hoping that by 2029, we reach at least 9 or 10 crore because it's growing. And we want to bring all the informal MSMEs under the formal umbrella. The benefit of that is if you get yourself registered on Udyam portal or Udyam Assist, there are two portals. If you don't have I know people who are here may not be of UAP level, you may be of Udyam, maybe mostly small and medium segment, but there are three segments, micro, small and medium. If you get yourself registered on Udyam registration portal, it's fully digital, it's free of cost, then you become accessible to all the schemes that the ministry runs. So the benefit is definitely there. So if you have not got yourself registered, kindly consider so. MSMEs contribute more than 31% of our GDP, 35% of manufacturing output, and 45% of exports. And if you look at 2021 figure, we have contributed more than 5 lakh crore to GST. And as far as employment generation is concerned, we generate more than 28 crore people, only second to agriculture. And we are hoping that as we move towards Viksit Bharat and vision India to be a developed nation, we hope that we will overtake agriculture in employment segment. The story of resilience, the earlier speaker has spoken. So if you look at that, then the growth of the MSMEs, it is very, very impressive. And we hope that we continue to grow in that trajectory.
Up next is the official release of the report titled Rethinking the Future of India's Small and Medium-Sized Businesses.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Rethinking the Future of India's Small and Medium-Sized Businesses report. Let's celebrate this milestone with a big round of applause for the exceptional businesses and minds that are featured in this report.
Up next, the stage was set for the Business Excellence Awards 2025 ceremony, honoring the esteemed guests on the dais. Let's take a look.
And the award goes to Happy Forgings Limited. Congratulations. Chamundi Die Cast Private Limited. Congratulations. Anandmayi Forgings Private Limited. Congratulations. Parayal Food Products Private Limited. Congratulations. RMSI Private Limited. Kentelli Solutions Private Limited. Congratulations. Phase 3 Limited. Congratulations. AstraZeneca Pharma India Limited. Congratulations. We've got the last award of this evening, and this one is for the Entrepreneur of the Year. This one is Mr. Krishan Lalit Bansal, the Chairman and Managing Director of DEE Development Engineers Limited. Congratulations.
63 Sat Cybertech is a cutting-edge cybersecurity venture incubated by 63 Moons Technologies, founded by tech visionary Shri Jignesh Shah. His legacy of building digital ecosystems that empower institutions and market continues through 63 Sat Cybertech, where we are transforming how cybersecurity works in India. We offer intelligent, predictive, and autonomous threat response systems that go beyond traditional protection, bringing real-time AI-driven defense to sectors like healthcare, finance, manufacturing, and more. Our key message to the industry is simple. Cybersecurity can no longer be reactive. At 63 SATS, we are building the future of proactive, resilient security that MSCBs and large enterprises alike can trust without complexity or cost barriers. Being recognized at Dun & Bradstreet's Business Enterprises of Tomorrow Summit validates our mission. It reinforces our commitment to empowering India's MSME ecosystem with next-gen cybersecurity that's built in India, and for the world. Viksit Bharat, Surakshit Bharat.
In export sector, the consistency is extremely important. Secondly, they have to go for the digitization. Digitization not only will make them the process easy and seamless, but it will also cut down the cost, and digitization is not just confined to the digitization process. We are talking about the digital payment, we are testing on the digital marketing. These needs to be looked into by the MSME. And lastly, probably they have to look into the opportunity which is coming in the way of the global trade.
The productivity gap between MSMEs and the larger corporates. One of the reasons for this is that typically MSMEs have large working capital cycles, which in turn emanates from larger procurement cycles. One reason for this is the entire process, the way the bank guarantee works. That's why the government has taken various measures to promote the use of electronic bank guarantees. One measure which I'd like to mention is the amendment of the GFR rules to provide for acceptance of electronic pages.
For me, the main three items would be, firstly, adopt technology. Technology is going to help you in a big way as we proceed ahead. Secondly, would be try and invest in R&D, create a IP if possible, and focus on that. And thirdly, grow beyond the local ecosystem, look for international markets, look for exports. These are the three things I think will help you grow in a much bigger way and make proud the country as well.
So tech is one of the most important things for organizations that want to scale. But for MSMEs, it's often one of the last things on their mind. They want to not think about it, get by without it as much as possible. I think this initiative by DNB is a great first step towards raising awareness, towards exposing MSMEs to the idea of having technology and having it in a secure way. I was happy to be at this event. It was very good. It was a good group of people. It was a lively discussion. I enjoyed it.